What's going on? Facebook Live-O. So who knows what round it is? Doesn't really matter. Now, me and Chris are going to talk a little bit about carbs, right? About glucose. I'm going to ask him some questions. And I want anybody else to ask questions. If anybody agrees, disagrees, thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't really matter. The main thing is, right, that there's a lot of talk about, keto this, keto that, what's good, what's bad. And look, we're here to give both sides of the arguments, okay? I'm going to play devil's advocate because there's a lot of people that don't believe that, ketosis is an efficient way to be. There's a lot of different things, right? So we're going to find out, okay? We're going to find out right about now. So here we go. Get ready to rumble. Think of any questions, guys, if you've got them.
Tom, how are you?
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, my friend. I'm very well. I'm having a good day. You having a good day?
Good. Busy, but good. Thank you.
Yeah. Same as that, man. It's all good. So look, let's jump straight in. Now, my question is, now, again, from the school of thinking that, I was brought up on cereal for breakfast. I was brought up on, potatoes and all that sort of stuff and, rice and, good home cooking. And that's my conditioning, is that I need these carbohydrates. I don't know what else to do with that bread, right? Now, I've been told that my best source of fuel for my brain, for what's left of it, right, is glucose. And if I don't have glucose, if I don't have carbs, if I don't have my cereal in the morning, if I don't have my rolled oats, if I don't have my my gluten-free cereals and all that sort of stuff in the mornings, I'm foggy. I can't think straight. I'm cranky. I don't feel well. Talk to me. What is that?
Sure. Yeah, look, that's just general dependence on carbohydrates. And, the traditional thoughts are that your brain uses 20% of your glucose needs. And that's true, it does. The brain does require a lot of energy source, and that's part of the reason why we have such high levels of cognition is how much our brain thinks and does, and everything it does requires a lot of energy. And that energy is often most sourced from glucose, because that's our primary, in these days, energy source. But look, it's not the most efficient form of glucose. Glucose is actually quite high in producing reactive oxygen species in the brain. So that's kind of like, the byproducts of glucose metabolism that aren't so great. And they are quite highly elevated in the brain from glucose burning. Whereas when you look at something like ketones, they very readily cross the blood-brain barrier. And in doing so, promote a really stable and constant supply of energy source to the brain. So look, when we've all seen those athletes bonk, they're running along halfway through a race and they just kind of collapse, their brain gives in. And what you're talking about before, if you don't have the carbs required, then you get cranky and hungry and thangry and all sorts of things. And that is just a diminished fuel supply to the brain. And your body finds it hard to upregulate its production of ketones when it's highly dependent upon carbohydrates. So one of the most destructive things for your brain is that constant up and down of blood sugars. You'll find you'll get to mid-morning or mid-afternoon and you'll slump, and that then causes a big spike in adrenaline, because all of a sudden your brain goes, hey, I've run out of fuel here. I need something to happen. So it causes you to spike in adrenaline, and that causes all sorts of emotions. That's, your blood sugars are crashing, and you then get this immediate need to go, spike your blood sugars again with a craving for carbohydrates and simple sugars, and that causes that yo-yo effect. With ketones, it provides a really steady source of fuel. Ketone production in the body is almost everlasting in how much we can produce. As I said before, the ketones cross the blood-brain barrier. They provide a really clean burning energy source to the brain. Ketones do a number of things for your brain function. they're really good at increasing the mitochondrial biogenesis, so the creation of new mitochondria within the brain. Mitochondria are your energy-producing base building blocks of your cells. So if we can get more of them in your brain, you're going to have healthier brain tissue. Not only that, but increased ketones in the brain actually stimulates the increased production of neurotransmitters and enzyme function in the brain. So these are all the things that precurse all the things that stimulate brain function. As a result, then you can increase in neurogenesis in the brain, so firing of your brain neurons, and that is pretty incredible. What we then need to look at is ketones then go on to provide a better, more stable, more clean, and an upregulated production or supply of oxygen to the brain. And that's, very key and very fundamental here. As a result of all the above, you get a huge reduction in neural inflammation. So if your brain is less inflamed, less in a fight or flight mode from constant blood sugar levels dropping up and down, then that's just going to really increase all of your brain function. So I think that is absolutely key here. Now, you can get into ketosis through diet, or you can get into ketosis via some supplements. Either one is all. Either way, best thing you can do is reduce your dependence on sugars and carbohydrates to get you out of a slump. That slump is caused by carbohydrate dependence, and move on to a more stable diet, paleo-style diet, good fats, moderate source of protein, limited to moderate sources of carbohydrates, and fuel your upregulation of ketone production through good fats, good eating, and more stable blood sugars.
Okay, cool. So, look, I think a big question is when, and just to finish with, so from a completely layman's point of view, if you're telling me all this and glucose is bad and carbohydrates are not the preferred source of energy or not the most efficient, what do I eat for breakfast? What do I break my fast with?
Look, you can either skip breakfast and eat later on in the day, which pushes you into an intermittent fasting protocol, or something like breakfast and eggs. They've got protein, they've got fat, they've got acetylcholine, which is great for neurotransmitter production. Avocados is a great source of fat, potassium. You can have some meat. You can have vegetables. You can have salad.
Nuts.
You can have nuts. Any of that sort of stuff. Is certainly a very viable, sustainable, and healthy breakfast.
What about starchy vegetables? So carrot, pumpkin, that sort of stuff. Like, would you say leave that till later?
That sort of stuff is completely fine. They've got a lot of fibre in it, so you don't have to be worried too much about that. More so, jumping up and having a fruit salad that's just high in sugars, and that's not going to be great for you. I wouldn't recommend a potato salad for breakfast or a fruit salad for breakfast or a bowl of, your Nutri-Grain style stuff, your cereal sort of stuff. Go for protein, go for fat, healthy fat. Fat doesn't mean deep fried. Fat doesn't mean, something covered in crumbs baked in the oven. Fat means eggs, avocado, some olive oil, etc.
Yeah, cool. All right, nice one, mate. We'll cut it off there. That was some awesome information. Guys who are watching, thank you very much. And Chris, I'll speak to you tomorrow.
See you then. Bye.
All right, mate. Cheers.